wait, hold on. Okay, we should be good. Hey everyone, it's Alexander Robinson, and welcome to the channel. Got some people in the chat. Hold on, let me try and rearrange everything so I can read. Okay, Joshman Gamer 255, welcome. I will be, just to get that out of the way right now, I will be uploading my review for Hoppers tomorrow. I was supposed to upload it today, but so many things just caught up with me, and I'm still resting after my week-and-a-half long trip in Orlando, and that's in addition to what is it? Sorry, that's in addition to, there we go. That's in addition to all the videos I'm editing together from my my vlog channel, Traveling with Alexander. But anyway, I'm here. I just had to get some food for myself. Thank you guys for joining. Spiders Prime, welcome. Ryan DT2623, you're a familiar face, and thank you for joining as a YouTube member. You've joined in the basic support pack. This basically just means you will be you'll just basically be financially supporting the channel. The starter pack is where you would get the perks for like nominating movies to review for each month, retro movie reviews, viewer picked retro reviews. Sorry, I'm just getting back into it. I'm at loss for word. I'm a little hot right now because it's hot in my apartment. Conjunctional. There we go. Welcome to the live stream. Yes, I have been to Epic Universe Spiders Prime, and that will be a video coming up on my other channel later on, but we're not talking about my other channel. We're talking about this one. We're going to do a live watch party for the third Gamera movie, and my favorite of the Showa era, Gamera vs. Gyaos. Last month, we did Gamera vs. BARUGON, which I've gained more respect for after watching it last month, but Gamera vs. Gyaos has always been my favorite because it's a perfect encapsulation of what is great about the series. DT Legacy 2495, welcome to the stream. I'm doing all right. But Gamera vs. Gyaos is the perfect encapsulation of what the Showa era represents without going too overboard like other movies would, especially Gamera vs. Guiron, which we'll be doing in May. That's the 5th Gamera movie. Yeah, so Gamera vs. Guiron will be May, but Gamera vs. Gyaos has always been my favorite of the Showa era films. And let's not waste any time. I already started late because I had to get some food, so I apologize if I'm just eating a lot during this stream, but I'm starving. Once again, I don't have a timer on this, so I will consistently tell you where we are in terms of the movie. I hope to get a timer set up on this live stream when we do Gamera vs. Virus next month, or Virus. But anyway, that's going to do it. We got 6 people joining. I'm so glad you all are here. And, oh, by the way, one more thing. For Ryan DT, you will not be mentioned in my review for Hoppers for joining YouTube members, mainly because I already recorded that review before you joined. But I do appreciate you joining as a member. You will get a shout-out in whatever the next review will be, which will probably be The Bride, which I'm planning to see tomorrow. Anyway, enough prolonging. We are going to start playing Gamera vs. Gyaos now. Right now. There's that Daiei sunrise, I mean. I haven't thought of doing a Pixar ranking, mainly because it's a studio and they keep coming out with so many movies. I just feel better at doing a ranking of a series that is done. Like I did it with the Fox X-Men movies, or at least we thought we were done at the time because they're coming back in Doomsday. I did it for Friday the 13th because the last movie was in 2009. I probably won't do a ranking for the Pixar movies. Turner Jenkins, welcome to the live stream. We just started watching Gamera vs. Gyaos. So this movie So yeah, the last movie, for a little bit of context, the Gamera the Giant Monster was an unexpected hit for Daiei because they had no faith in the movie. They filmed it in black and white. They got a newcomer to direct the movie, Noriaki Yuasa, because they thought, well, if the movie bombs, then this new guy can take the fall. But it ended up being a hit, so with Gamera vs. Barugon, they put in much more money into that film. They got a more high-profile director, and Noriaki Yuasa was basically director of special effects for that movie. And while it's a really good movie, a really great monster movie, it didn't do so well at the box office because it alienated the audience that made Gamera a hit in the first place, kids. So for this movie, they brought back Noriaki Yuasa as director and director of special effects. So for all the movies, doesn't the movie end in only 5 minutes? No. No, we just started. We are 2 minutes and 5 seconds into the movie, and it's an hour and 26 minutes. But anyway, Noriaki Yuasa, he directed all the Showa Era Gamera movies except Barugon, but he did double duty because he was special effects director as well. And, give him props. He, considering the low budget, he really... Well, we'll get to the rest of the movies, but I think for the first Gamera and this one, he really put his all into them. There's Gamera. It's Gamera, sis. Gamera versus Gyaos, or Giant Monster Dogfight, Gamera versus Gyaos, because the Japanese had crazy titles. Speaking of crazy titles, I love this GMK shirt from Cavity Colors. It was done by Matt Frank, who did all the artwork for the Arrow Blu-ray set of Gamera, and I wear this shirt. I actually wore the shirt for the first time in my Epic Universe vlog. I watched the first episode of Monarch. I haven't caught up with it, but I know I have 2 episodes to catch up with. But I'm liking it. Yeah, he falls in the volcano, and in most movies it's over. Yeah, but Gamera gets his energy from fire. In this series, it's later revealed to be mana in the Kaneko trilogy. Who said, Spiders Prime said Gamera basically battling the kaiju version of Dracula. That was the intent, I think, either from Noriaki Yuasa or screenwriter Nissan Takahashi, because they thought, well, Toho made a King Kong movie and a Frankenstein movie. We should do Dracula. And I think it's a bit of a stretch to call Gyaos like Dracula because it actually looks more like a bat, not exactly a vampire. But it does have the characteristics of a vampire, though, with drinking blood, only coming out at night. But I think it's a bit of a stretch to say that Gyaos is like Dracula. What are your thoughts on the Toy Story 5 trailer? Do you think it's Andrew Stanton, not Anderson Stanton, is the right guy to direct Toy Story 5 since he's no stranger to Pixar? I mean, the trailer looks good. There's never been a bad Toy Story movie, but at the same time, I'm just like, why do we need to keep making more of these? But at the same time, Andrew Stanton, his two well, his first two Pixar movies, Finding Nemo and WALL-E, are among my favorite movies of all time, with WALL-E being in my top 10, so I give him the benefit of the doubt. Oh, it should be noted that I think it was in the commentary for this movie by Stuart Gilbert IV that this is a favorite of Ishiro Honda's. Ishiro Honda sent a card or letter to Nissan Takahashi, the screenwriter for the Showa Era Gamera films, saying how much he enjoyed this one. So that's a pretty high. Yeah, that little green glow isn't ominous at all, especially with a yellow laser shooting its way out. But no, yeah, Ishiro Honda is a fan of this movie. Well, there goes the chopper. I love the one guy right before the helicopter explodes. Like, it looks like he's about to jump, but it's not like a thing where he loses balance. He intentionally decides to jump out of the helicopter as it's cut in half. I love how 3 movies in, Japan is just perfectly fine with having Gamera exist. They don't consider him a constant threat the way they view Godzilla. Oh, your text is being translated from your speak. Okay, that's interesting. At least I assume that's the case. Hayaku. It's so funny. Just recently, watching and reviewing Hoppers, and like, people are upset about the construction of a freeway or highway because that's exactly what happens in Hoppers. With the new Street Fighter movie coming out, will you review the other Street Fighter movies? Why do you hate me? No, I'm kidding. Probably not. I forgot that there's a Street Fighter movie. There's a Street Fighter and a Mortal Kombat movie coming out this year. I don't know. I mean, maybe I could watch. Maybe, like, I'm curious to see the original Street Fighter movie with Raul Julius and Jean-Claude Van Damme and Ming-Na Wen as Shang-Chi. But Legend of Shang-Chi, the shit I have heard about that movie, especially from Corey Coleman and C. Robert Cargill, has me terrified if I ever watch that movie. But the answer is, I don't know if I'll be able to When does it come out? Because I totally forgot that this new Street Fighter movie was a thing, so I don't even know what's coming out. If it's coming out like much later than this year, then maybe it'll give me enough time to consider. No, enough time to actually watch and review them. But if it's coming out like next month, I don't think I'll have it. I mean, it's like, because he was destroying Tokyo in the original Gamera film. Granted, he did save Toshio from falling from a lighthouse, but he still caused mass destruction. So I would think, like, if he comes back, like, immediately, like he did in Gamera versus Barugon, that the Japanese would at least be suspicious of him. But I guess, like, this is 2 year. If we're going by, if the timeline of this series is parallel to the timeline these movies were coming out, we assume that this is 2 years after Gamera the Giant Monster. So if he wasn't initially causing destruction for 2 years, then I guess there'd be enough time for the Japanese to not see him as a threat. Because he's just minding his own business now. Wow, what an asshole. That little kid. Oh, that's his dad? In October. Okay. Considering it's only 2 movies, I think I'll be able to review them. Okay, he is not the father. You know, it's a shame that Noriaki Yuasa is no longer with us, because I would love to hear what he has to say about, like, an in-universe explanation on why so many kids love Gamera. I mean, with the first movie, it makes sense because Toshio thinks that Gamera was his pet turtle that he released. Yes, I just made that. Yes, that was very much, as I was saying it, I realized I just made that sound like a Jerry Springer moment. I mean, Toy Story 4 was great. It's one of my favorite movies of the year it came out, and even though it's like, I prefer the first 3, it's still fantastic. I'm just waiting for the movie to come out before I want to be super fair with it, because I think studios need to just grasp the idea that you can let a series end, but at the same time, they've never made a bad Toy Story movie, and even Pixar's worst movie, Cars 2, like, at worst, it's just an average animated movie. It's only as terrible as it is because it comes from Pixar, and you expect so much more. Love the bats on strings. Okay, we've seen enough movies, especially horror movies, to know that if you are a coward, like, there's the cliche of, like, if you have sex, do drugs, then you're getting killed. If you're a coward and you leave someone behind, then you are getting killed. We saw it, like, with Anaxinamun in Mummy Returns. And this dude's getting it. There he is. I'm sorry, that is a hilarious introduction for Gyaos. I imagine it was scary for kids. But, like, Gyaos in this movie has always looked silly to me. Granted, it's like this movie doesn't have the same budget that Toho did for their giant monsters. Even though this came out the same year as Son of Godzilla, which, you know, Manila is a weird-looking creation already. But whenever I see the Showa Era Gyaos and those teeth, I keep thinking of the original Jaws animatronic that they had on the studio tour, which was nicknamed Carrot Tooth. We are 18 minutes and 28 seconds in, and already this movie's moving at a breakneck pace, because it doesn't feel like it's been 20 minutes since we started the film. But we're already getting our, like, good look at Gyaos. I think that's the calmest I've ever seen a kid react to a rock getting dropped on their leg. Oh, that's why Gyaos didn't grab the kid initially. Because he sensed Gamera coming in. Just in the nick of time. No, I didn't see Goat. It just didn't look interesting to me. I apparently got good reviews, but I don't know. If it's worth checking out, I'll check it out, because Sony Animation has been on a hot streak with the Spider-Verse movies and recently K-pop Demon Hunter. He's more calm than Peter Griffin when he scrapes his knee. Ah! Okay, here's all that that sizing up that I'm not a fan of in Gamera versus Barugon. But now we're getting the action. So in addition to Nissan Takahashi getting a note from Ishiro Honda that he really enjoys this movie, I believe this was also the movie where Noriaki Yuasa got a letter from somebody at the special effects department at Toho, probably Eiji Tsuburaya, asking him to tone down the gore and bloodshed in these movies, because the Gamera movies are ultra violent in terms of like bleeding monsters. What, did Gamera grab the kid with his foot? Because we saw the kid fall into Gamera's hand, and now Gamera's using his flamethrower. Like doing all this to Gyaos, and the kid's nowhere to be seen. But now he's in the hand. Whatever, it's fine. I like the eye veins that they put in Gamera's eyes. Peekaboo. I love that Gyaos just peeks his head up and then just hides again. I mean, Cars, I can only tell you my two least favorite Pixar movies. Cars 2 and The Good Dinosaur. Like, the biggest thing that bugs me about The Good Dinosaur, putting all the production troubles aside, is that all the backgrounds and, like, landscapes look super realistic and amazing, but all the character designs are ultra cartoonish, and it just takes me out of the movie. Imagine if this scenario, if like Gamera rescued a kid, but he flew him over to Disneyland. I would not be surprised if Baby in Jim Henson's Dinosaur Show was inspired by Manila. I'm the baby, gotta love me. Also, welcome to the stream, Anthony Tortiga. That's a cool angle. The kid crawling across Gamera's back. Gamera is super patient. I think I just answered the question. Oh. I love that. Like the kid, like the worker asks Gamera to move a bit closer to him, and he does that. Like, I mean, there's obviously some memorable moments throughout the rest of the Showa era, thanks to Mystery Science Theater, but that's one moment that just, I just love how ridiculous it is. Gamera is like so in tune with humanity that like the guy asks the guy asks Gamera to move a little closer, and he just does. Sayonara, arigato. Think back then he would have sent the kid to Nara Dreamland, the defunct knockoff of Disneyland from back in the day. It would have been funny if Noriaki Yuasa and his team tried to actually build that. Actually did try to build Nara Dreamland. I also love that in the Pokemon anime, Squirtle's Hydro Pump is clearly inspired by when Gamera flies around like a flying saucer. Gamera reappears. Ichi rides on Gamera. Gamera flies off with Boy. You know what? Gamera's the original Ninja Turtle. There was a Gamera versus Godzilla stage show in 1970. All right, I'm gonna have to look that up. Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting name to call Gyaos. Well, of course it's a monster. Sorry, I was opening up some orange chicken. Amazing that Gamera, like, they've only seen, excuse me. I just love how they only get a brief glimpse of Gyaos. And they already know its anatomy. Like, it has two throats. Oh yeah, World Expo was in 1970. That's right, because Gamera vs. Jiger has a World Expo tie-in to itself. And that was... Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up. And yeah, this movie... 1967 was a really packed year for giant monsters because Dai released Gamera vs. Gyaos. Toho released both Son of Godzilla and King Kong Escapes. I want to say it's Nikatsu that released Gappa, and then Tsuburaya had Ultra 7 on TV. Let me look up Gappa. Wait, Kaish. Yep, Nikatsu. And also, Shuchiku released the X from Outer Space, which I reviewed 6 years ago. Cars 2 is the worst. Yeah, Cars 2 is the worst Pixar. Like, I already answered this question a while ago. Like, I said, Pixar, like, at worst, Cars 2 is, like, a mediocre animated movie, but it's made even more terrible because you expect more from Pixar. Yeah, once again, the plane effects, like, especially here when they get cut in half and the explosion's delayed, they're never, the plane effects in the Showa Gamera movies are just never that convincing. And again, I could give Noriaki Yuasa a pass because, like, lower budgets for these movies, and he probably doesn't have the same, most likely didn't have the same experience that Eiji Tsuburaya had, because Eiji Tsuburaya did, like, special effects for war movies before Godzilla. So this moment, where the little kid, like the little kid seems to be telepathically communicating with Gamera to get better. This is an example, I think, when Kaneko did his Gamera movies, and Kazunori Ito, the screenwriter for those movies, I imagine they took this aspect and went, okay, let's actually give, like, a more detailed explanation on how a young person could be able to communicate or be in sync with Gamera. Yeah, I can't wait to get to those movies. I mean, I could easily just rewatch them on my own because they're that good, but to do a live watch party of the Gamera trilogy with you guys, I cannot wait. Maybe. I mean, I Brave had similar production troubles, and I really like that movie. Again, it's just the design choices that really took me out of it. These damn horses are acting up again. No! No, you stay in here, Ichi. Well, looks like they're gonna have to get some more horses. Considering Gyaos' size, I'm surprised that that's the tiny amount of damage he caused. These dumb rednecks coming out just shooting at the sky. Yeah, Coco is brilliant. Of course it deserved all those all those wins at the Oscars. Oh, that's Ichiro playing with his toys. I was thinking, I really for a second thought that was supposed to be like a model car in a miniature set. It's funny that in both Gamera the Giant Monster and Gamera vs. Gyaos that the brother-sister dynamic, it's the little brother is a kid, but the older sister is clearly an adult. It's something that's something worth noting. All right, so we are 36 minutes and 30 seconds into the movie. Hold on. This guy gets some water. Yeah, I do know that this is Pixar's 40th anniversary. Even if their first feature film was 31 years ago. Gyaos is just a dick. Of course he wouldn't have a strategy to his rampages. God, imagine if every contract employer was that faithful and allowing all of his employees to come back. That's pretty rare. Yeah, I will say the human plot in Gamera vs. Barugon is definitely more engaging. It is certainly more interesting than in this movie, but this movie excels more in the monster stuff. Ichi. Yeah, I've been saying his name correctly. Toy Story's my favorite, followed by WALL-E. Like, both those movies are in my top 5. Top 10, I'm sorry. Top 10 favorite movies. He mostly comes out at night. Mostly. Yeah, this was something, this is something that Noriaki Yuasa was very adamant about when it came to these Gamera movies. He wanted to have the kids be far more, observant and confident, and competent, than the adults. He's always figuring out stuff about Gyaos, before the adults can. I will admit, it's not taken to a ridiculous level the way some movies take it. I think, if I'm correct, I think the later Gamera movies really take this to cartoonish levels, to where the adults are just straight up incompetent. Wow, they definitely seem more upbeat. Never mind, that didn't last long. No, Wall-E is brilliant. Yeah, the first half is better, but the second half is still fantastic. Even if it's a little on the nose with its messaging. Guess who's back? And another reason why this is my favorite of the Showa Era Gamera movies is because of Gyaos. Even though this design, even if the design for Gyaos in this series is a little goofy, it's still a great concept, and I love that out of all the Gamera monsters, this was the one that they chose to make Gamera's arch nemesis. Although it was great to finally see other monsters make an appearance, like in Rebirth with Guiron, Virus, Jiger, and Zigra. Like, all the monsters, those monsters got really great redesigns in. Wow! I'm sorry, that's hilarious. That slow motion of the two guys running, but one of them's flying away. That's funny. Man, the Japanese Self-Defense Force didn't even have that many tanks when fighting off Godzilla and other monsters. Like, they probably brought everything they had. The level of tanks that they used to bring in against Gyaos was probably the same amount in Shin Godzilla. Like, just a ridiculous amount. I never noticed the red markings on Gyaos's back. Oh, y'all are doomed. Or not, you're fine. And there goes that castle that Godzilla foolishly tripped into in Mothra vs. Godzilla, because this is Nagoya. Now, I know there's that moment where Gyaos... Oh, that answers my question. I was going to say, was there a moment when Gyaos cuts the train in half? Because I know there's that sequence coming up where he cuts a car sideways. You'll have to wait for my Hoppers review tomorrow before you get the answer. Yeah, don't just stand there. Run. Oh, too late. Gyaos just, like, squashed you with his hand. And, oh, that's... Oh, yeah, it's been a while since I've seen these Showa Era Gamera movies. That's a cool effect. That's a cool compositing optical effect where you see the people just standing on Gyaos' hand just as he eats them. You know, if this were Rodan, his hurricane winds would be just blowing everything away. Yeah, again, some of the flying effects don't look very convincing. Like that sudden turnaround was goofy. Oh, is this the scene? Maybe look to your right where all the fires are happening. Yep. Huh. Gyaos is just standing there. He just sees... There we go. There's the sequence. Again, I like how this movie has a sense of humor, but it doesn't go fully like it's ridiculous, sure, but it doesn't go full overboard like some of the other movies. Like I think Gamera versus Guiron is where things get absolutely ridiculous. My thoughts on Elemental have not changed. They're still really good. It's still really good. Rodan versus Gyaos, who'd win? Rodan, I think. I mean, let's see. I think Rodan is more resilient than Gyaos. Like, Gyaos only comes out at night. At least this incarnation of Gyaos does, because the Heisei era Gyaos has no problem flying around in daytime. And also, spoilers for this movie. Rodan survives a volcano. Gyaos does not. Ooh, that was a heavy hit. Yeah, the monster action is never... I mean, there was that part in the first battle where they were having a standoff. And all that posing, like in Gamera versus Barugon, but this is a creative fight in the sky. Like, this is something they could never do. This is something that, just by the nature of Godzilla not being able to fly, at least until 1971... this is something that they could never do with Godzilla. Just have a full-on aerial battle. But no, I think Rodan would win easily. Because Rodan... Again, Rodan survived a volcano. One of the Rodans survived a volcano. Actually, no. I actually don't know. Because I want to say either one of the Rodans survived a volcano... in Rodan, or both of them perished, and the Rodan that we see alongside Godzilla is their offspring. Oh, was that boat called Showa Moru? There's that over-the-top kaiju gore again. Lightyear's okay. I like the first half of it. I'm not a fan of the side characters. The one voiced by Keke Palmer and what's the cat's name? I forget the cat's name. I can't believe that. Because that's literally the most popular character in that movie. Yeah, Keke Palmer's character is fun, and the cat's a lot of fun also. I'm not a fan of the two side characters, but once we get into the big reveal that Zurg is just an older Lightyear, that's when the movie just falls apart. Socks! That's the name of the cat, huh? Okay, for a second it looked like water was spewing out of Gamera, but it turned out to be his green blood. Yeah, I don't think Lightyear's a bad movie per se, but it is massively disappointing. Yep, Socks. Voiced by the director of Elemental. We are 51 minutes and 40 seconds in. Yeah, it is Socks. Thank you, Joshman Gamer. It's not going to do anything to you. And it shrunk. Like, you've seen how big Gyaos is, guys. Like, why would you think that they were dreaming that the feet were smaller or the feet were bigger? Why would you think that when you saw how big Gyaos is? I know, I'm getting a lot of Pixar questions. I love the cave set here. I don't think Chris Evans was miscast at all as Buzz Lightyear. I just don't like that they basically gave Lightyear the same Captain America story, considering Chris Evans voices Buzz Lightyear. But no, he did a good job. No, that cave set for Gyaos is... I just love all the glowing lights. I think I already answered the question about Elemental. I still think it's really good. Imagine if entire Gyaos just spawns from that thing. But no, it's shrinking again. Okay, my new feet work. Amazing. That hurt. Okay, that's fine. At least I know they work. Alright, now time to do some laundry. Where'd I put my shit? No wonder... no wonder these movies were a big hit on Mystery Science Theater. Guys, when we get to Gamera versus Guiron, it's going to be really hard for me to not quote Mystery Science Theater, because that's the Mystery Science Theater Gamera episode that I'm the most familiar with. Especially the spinning around on the pole. Okay, how do you expect to tie up something that big? The sister's like, come on, little boy, let's get out of here. Like, sister shouldn't be ashamed of her brother. That's so crazy, it might make sense. There's that random narrator. We missed him from Gamera versus Barugon. I don't remember that scene from Elemental. Admittedly, I love that movie, but I've only seen it once. And a few clips on occasion. Is anyone else here in the stream? Because it says we only have one viewer. I think this is probably the most interaction I've gotten from you guys of these Gamera live watch parties so far. Hey there, Spiders Prime. Or maybe it's just the Streamlabs view counter is just inaccurate. It could be that. I wouldn't be surprised. Hey. Who are the visitors? Oh, them. It's only because Gyaos is a terror that they want to sell off their land now. It was like, yeah, we don't... What monster movie would I like to see remade? I mean, outside of the fact that we need a new Gamera movie because it's been 20 years. Um, I'd like to see another a new version of Godzilla versus Hedorah. Because, I mean, that movie is just so bonkers on its own that I think doing... Basically, it's the equivalent of, let's see a modern version of King Kong versus Godzilla, and we got that with the MonsterVerse films. I want to see a updated Godzilla versus Hedorah. Like, not exactly a remake, but just have the two of them rematch under different circumstances. I really like the ending to The Long Walk from last year. I mean, that whole movie is a trip. What kind of fumes is that artificial blood spewing? It's just like a red smoke coming out of the sky. Oh. Oh, it's they're actually generating the fumes. It's not actually coming out from the blood. There he is. Come on, Gyaos. Come and get your blood. Oh, now their wind's blowing up when Gyaos is flying. The Valley of Gwangi. That's the one with the cowboys and the dinosaur, right? That Ray Harryhausen did the stop motion for? That could be a good one to remake. Faster! Exactly. More! More! Look at that image. Kick back and spin, then we do it again. Ninja go, ninja go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Of course something doesn't go right. Just when everything looks like it's going to according to plan, something happens. I want to see another long shot of Gyaos just spinning around on that thing. Go to hell, Gyaos. Okay, I can't tell if Gyaos is intentionally destroying that building or if he's just so dizzy that he doesn't know what he's doing. Damn it. I mean, he's still out in the daytime. Well, thank you, Gyaos, for putting out those fires. That was very considerate of him. Well, there is one way to kill Gyaos. So. That's right, Ichido. Or Ichi. Like, the little kid's just like, we all shut the fuck up. Don't be mean to my grandfather. Where'd my phone go? There it is. Where's her parents? Where's her parents slash his kids? Okay, this movie is starting to let's see. We got about 14 minutes left. Yeah, intentionally start a forest fire near your village. That's not smart. 200 million yen. I wonder how much that is. Well, I mean, I think of what that's like in 1967 terms. I mean, Mark Hamill's performance in The Long Walk is good. I mean, I have a full review of The Long Walk, so y'all can check that out on this channel. I really do like how Gamera is just not an afterthought in this movie. Like, this has similar plot structures with Gamera versus Barugon, where you learn more about the monster, and they try to use a lot of its tactics against him. But it's not like the movie forgets that Gamera's a part of it. Because the kids want to see Gamera. Those are some huge missiles. Those are comically big bombs, or missiles. Y'all come to my house, start a forest on my front yard, start a fire on my front yard. I'm just going to assume those are Gyaos's nipples that he's spewing that extinguisher from. It'd be funny if the Cookie Monster was in real life. I would have him eat all the horrible movies. But those aren't cookies, though. I'm trying to think, what's the craziest way, like the most over-the-top plan that humans have had to defeat a giant monster? I mean, the big operation at the end of Shin Godzilla definitely comes to mind, when they use all those trains for bombs, or when they like collapse skyscrapers onto Godzilla to knock him out. And here he is. You know, another way you could have brought Gamera into the fray is put the kid in danger. Because Gamera will always be there to help no matter what. But, I mean, the fire's not a bad idea because it would give Gamera power. Ooh, we don't talk about Craven. We don't talk about Craven. No, that movie. I still think Madam Web is worse, but Madam Web is just so beautifully terrible that I almost admire it. So wait, is Gyaos just unaware that Gamera's flying? I guess he is. Amazing that Gamera's jets didn't set the trees on fire behind him. Now I gotta wonder, like, with, like, Gyaos in this movie, and when they made Ghidorah the three-headed monster, you gotta wonder, did the creators ever imagine that these monsters would, like, become the arch nemesis to the title monster? Or to the hero monster? Like, you gotta think in the moment, like, oh, this is just another monster for Godzilla or Gamera to fight. Not knowing that, like, oh, this is a monster, like, you can't have, you can't imagine Gamera or Gyaos without, you can't imagine Gamera without Gyaos or Godzilla without Ghidorah. Come on, Gamera, you can do it. Huh. And that's not even the weirdest thing we'll see with Gamera inside his shell. It's okay, kid. That's why Gamera's inside his shell, so he doesn't take too much damage. Okay, at a certain point, it's like, you gotta think, come on, Gamera, do something. Huh. Ooh, bad time to come out of the shell, Gamera. Get back inside. Well, you gotta give Gamera credit. He is smart. Like, Gyaos, he gave himself enough time to keep Gyaos from shooting his laser. Yeah, again, the amount of, like, imagine if this was all red blood, but instead it's pink for Gyaos and green for Gamera. Like, the amount of blood that these monsters ooze out of them is just ridiculous. Look at that. Look at that image of Gamera spinning with Gyaos. And that's the end of Gyaos. At least on Earth, that's the end of Gyaos. Exactly, that is the end of Gyaos, as I said. It's okay, kid. Gamera's not dead. He is as good as can be. Sayonara, Gamera. All right, so this isn't officially the Gamera theme. Or at least of the Showa era. Yeah, the first version of the Gamera song. Oh, that's right. They didn't list the cast of... They didn't list the cast at the beginning of the movie. Interesting. Yeah, I still like this one over Gamera versus Barugon. Like, again, Barugon, I've really grown to appreciate. But if we're talking monster stuff, Gamera versus Gyaos is the better of the two. And, yeah, just, it basically is the perfect encapsulation of the Showa era Gamera films. Yeah, the official Gamera theme song wouldn't come around until the next movie, yeah? Oh, they're not subtitling the song anymore. The end. All right. So that's 3 Gamera movies down and 8 to go. Let's see. Gamera, Virus, Guiron, Jiger, Zigra, Super Monster, Guardian of the Universe, Attack of Legion, Revenge of Virus. No, 9 more to go. And then Brave. Yeah. No, this was a fun one. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me in this live stream. Next month will be Gamera versus Virus. It's probably going to be around the same time, middle of April. But these live watch parties are a lot of fun. Unfortunately for the Gamera series, the rest of the Showa Era Gamera series, it goes downhill from here. There'll still be some fun moments. Like, I'm a fan of Gamera versus Guiron because it's so ridiculous. In terms of quality-wise, Zootopia 2 is like a great movie, but it's also a sequel, and I don't want Disney to continue going down the path. If their lesson is to just do nothing but sequels, that is the wrong direction to go to. So I hope for more original stuff from Disney Animation. But yeah, next month is going to be Gamera versus Virus. Tomorrow, I'm going to have my review up for Hoppers on this channel, and then if you go over to Traveling with Alexander right here, you will see my vlog for Disney Springs, and there will be several other Orlando vlogs coming up throughout the next couple of days. So keep your eyes open for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky, Threads, and Traveling with Alexander right here on YouTube.